The conflict between Israel and Iran is one of the most complex and volatile geopolitical rivalries in the modern world, stemming from deep-seated historical, religious, and political animosities. This hostility has often pushed the Middle East to the brink of war. The latest chapter of this ongoing conflict unfolded on July 31, 2024, when Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh was assassinated in Tehran, with accusations that Israel was behind the attack. This event set the stage for a direct confrontation threatening to ignite a full-scale war between two of the region's most powerful nations. In this documentary, we will explore the entire history of the Israel-Iran conflict from its ancient roots to the present-day crisis, examining how this rivalry could spiral into a devastating war. The assassination of Ismail Haniyeh, a significant political figure of Hamas, marked a major escalation in the already tense relations between Israel and Iran. Tehran immediately blamed Israel for the attack, and Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei vowed retaliation. Khamenei declared that Israel had brought upon itself a harsh punishment and described the assassination as an unforgettable crime. In response, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned that Israel will exact a heavy price for any act of aggression against them on any front. Haniyeh's death, occurring right in the heart of Iran's capital, isn't only a loss for Hamas, but also a direct challenge to Iran's influence in the region. Iran's immediate response was swift and aggressive. Missile and drone strikes were launched from Iran, Syria, Yemen, and Lebanon, targeting key Israeli military installations and civilization areas. This initial assault represented Iran's strategic goal to demonstrate its military capabilities and exact revenge for the assassination. However, the attack was largely countered by Israel's advanced air defense systems, including the Iron Dome, David's Sling, and Arrow defense networks, which intercepted the vast majority of incoming missiles. This confrontation, though brief, served as a prelude to a much larger and more destructive conflict that loomed on the horizon. While Iran's initial barrage was extensive, its effectiveness was limited. U.S. military forces in the region quickly stepped in to support Israel, deploying naval assets in the eastern Mediterranean and the Persian Gulf to intercept Iranian missiles and drones. American fighter jets and naval missiles defense systems played a critical role in neutralizing the Iranian threat, highlighting the strategic partnership between Israel and the United States. The involvement of U.S. forces underscored the broader geopolitical implications of the conflict. It was just a war between Israel and Iran, but a clash of alliances with the potential to draw in NATO forces or NATO forces and destabilize the entire Middle East. Despite Iran's aggressive show of force, the attack inflicted metal damage on Israeli military targets due to the coordinated defense efforts of Israel and its Western allies. Following the initial exchange of fire, Iran temporarily ceased its direct attacks. This decision was likely influenced by several factors, including the limited success of its initial strikes and the overwhelming defensive capabilities displayed by Israel and its allies. While Iran had made a statement, it was clear that the cost of continuing a direct military confrontation would be high. For Israel, however, the threat was far from over. Historically, Israel, as they claim, has never been one to back down from a fight, particularly when its security is at stake. The nation's strategic doctrine, shaped by decades of conflict, emphasizes swift and decisive retaliation to any act of aggression. This time would be no different. Israel's military and political leaders convened in Tel Aviv to discuss the next steps, knowing that a measured but forceful response was required to deter further Iranian aggression. In a high-level emergency meeting, Israeli officials, including Prime Minister Netanyahu and senior military commanders, debated how best to respond. the decision was made to launch a targeted counterattack against Iran's air defense systems, specifically focused on critical installations such as the S-300 missile systems stationed near the Isfahan airbase, which protected Iran's nuclear facilities, rather than risk sending manned aircraft directly into hostile Iranian airspace. Israel opted for a more calculated approach. Using a fleet of small unmanned aerial vehicles, which is also referred to as UAVs, Israel sought to overwhelm and confuse Iranian radar systems. These UAVs acted as decoys, drawing out Iran's air defenses and exposing their positions. This allowed the Israeli forces to launch precision missile strikes from Syrian airspace, hitting their targets with minimal risk. The operation was a textbook example of Israel's military prowess, strategic, precise, and highly effective. This counterattack sent a clear message: Israel would not tolerate any acts of aggression, and it possessed the capability to strike back with devastating force. The response was also carefully calibrated to avoid provoking the US or other Western allies who were wary of being drawn into a broader conflict. Despite the setback, Iran was far from deterred. Just 5 hours after Israel's counterstrike, Iran launched a second, larger-scale offensive. This time, the attacks were more coordinated, involving a combination of ballistic and cruise missiles, as well as a swarm of UAVs. Iran also mobilized its proxy forces, including Hezbollah, Hamas, and Houthis, to open new fronts against Israel. Hezbollah in particular posed a significant threat with its vast arsenal of rockets, anti-tank missiles, and drones capable of striking deep into Israeli territory. The scale and intensity of this renewed assault were unprecedented. Iran's objective was clear: to overwhelm Israel's defenses and force the Israeli Defense Forces into a costly and prolonged conflict. In response, Israel ramped up its air defenses and launched a series of retaliatory strikes targeting missile launch sites and command centers in Lebanon, Syria, and Iran. The conflict rapidly escalated, with both sides trading blows in a fierce and unrelenting exchange of fire. As the conflicts expanded, ground battles became increasingly likely, particularly in northern Israel. The rugged terrain of the Galilee Panhandle and the urban centers near the Lebanese border provided a challenging battlefield where advanced air defense systems offered limited protection. Hezbollah's forces, seasoned from years of fighting in Syria, were well prepared for urban combat, utilizing anti-tank missiles and low-flying RPGs to target Israeli positions. If Hezbollah were to seize control of key areas in northern Israel, it could establish a direct route for Iranian-backed forces to launch deeper incursions into Israeli territory. However, Israel's military response was swift and brutal, deploying elite ground units to repel any advances and conducting relentless airstrikes against Hezbollah positions. Despite the intensity of these battles, neither side could secure a decisive advantage, leading to a prolonged and bloody stalemate. While ground battles raged in the north, the aerial front remained the primary theater of conflict. Both Israel and Iran deployed their most advanced fighter jets, drones, and missile systems in a bid to control the skies. Israeli F-35 stealth fighters, equipped with cutting-edge radar and missile technology, conducted deep strikes into Iranian territory, targeting critical infrastructure and military installations. On the other side, Iran unleashed its vast arsenal of ballistic missiles, many of which were aimed at Israeli military and civilian targets. The sheer volume of missiles strained Israel's defense systems, forcing the IDF to prioritize high-value targets. The skies above the Middle East became a deadly arena, filled with the constant roar of jet engines, the flash of missiles launches, and the crisscrossing tails of interceptor rockets. As the conflict entered its second day, the risk of further escalation loomed large. Israel began preparing its long-range strike capabilities, including its fleet of submarines and armed with nuclear-tipped missiles. The possibility of a nuclear exchange, while still remote, could no longer be dismissed. Both nations possessed the means to inflict catastrophic damage, and the world watched anxiously as tensions reached a breaking point. Israel's military planners considered a range of options, including a hypothetical nuclear strike on Tehran to cripple Iran's command and control capabilities. The consequences of such an action, however, were unthinkable, potentially killing hundreds of thousands and sparking global condemnation. In the end, cooler heads prevailed, and Israel chose to hold back its most devastating weapons, focusing instead on conventional military operations. There are several approaches that Iran could use in situational cases. Being unable to dominate the battlefield through conventional means, Iran could turn to asymmetrical tactics to weaken Israel's resolve. Cyber attacks targeted Israel's critical infrastructure, attempting to disrupt communications, power grids, and financial systems. Iran's cyber units launched a barrage of sophisticated malware and hacking attempts, seeking to sow chaos beyond enemy lines. Another way is Iran's proxies often engage in direct actions, including attacks and assassinations targeting Israelis' interests in the Middle East and occasionally in Europe. These activities allow Iran to respond without directly escalating military conflict while maintaining plausible deniability. This enables Iran to achieve small strategic goals and signal its readiness to continue applying pressure in the region. As the days of conflict dragged on, the toll on both nations became increasingly apparent. Israel and Iran, though determined to assert their dominance, faced mounting pressure from the international community to cease hostilities. The United Nations and major world powers, including the United States and Russia, began pushing for a negotiated ceasefire. The road to a ceasefire was fraught with difficulties. Deep-seated animosities, security concerns, and political calculations made any compromise seem unlikely. However, after several rounds of intense negotiations, both sides agreed to a temporary cessation of hostilities. Iran pledged to halt its missile attacks, while Israel agreed to ease some of its military restrictions in Gaza and withdraw from certain disputed areas. The conflict between Israel and Iran, momentarily paused by a fragile ceasefire, remains a looming threat in the Middle East. Despite diplomatic efforts, deep mistrust persists and the specter of war lingers. This fragile peace highlights the high cost of conflict, affecting not just the warring nations but the entire region. The world watches, hoping dialogue will break the cycle of violence. Though the road to lasting peace is treacherous, the truce offers a glimmer of hope that the region may be spared from further devastation. So are you ready to discover more history secrets? Subscribe to My History and never miss an ancient history documentary that rewrites everything you ever knew.